I want to talk about hope. We are on the precipice of a safe climate. And exactly what's over the edge? Well, we're not entirely sure, but when we look down, it's pretty scary. And we know we definitely don't want to fall. For decades, organisations like Sustainable Living Tasmania have been raising awareness of the dangers of climate change, the underlying science, and the urgent need to act. And for some people, myself included, and probably you if you're watching this video, we have been motivated to do everything we can to secure a safe climate. But for many others, it's had the opposite effect. It's instilled a sense of debilitating fear. And we hear that come through arguments like, if we're all doomed, then what does it matter what I do? My impact is so small anyway. And that thinking is fundamentally flawed. We see it from the individual level right up to the international level. And so there was the argument that because Australia's emissions are less than 2% of the global total, it doesn't matter what we do. But there are many countries with less than 2% of global emissions. And if you add them all together, you get almost half of global emissions. So what we do matters. At the international level, right down to the state, local community, household, and even the individual level. What you do matters. And you might say, well, Todd, that's all good and well, but why should I go out of my way to do my bit when others aren't doing their part? And again, that thinking is fundamentally flawed for three reasons. Firstly, others are doing their part. We're seeing more and more countries commit to deeper and deeper cuts to their emissions. And Bhutan is already carbon neutral and beyond. And we've seen at the state level, Victoria, New South Wales, the ACT and South Australia have all committed to being carbon neutral by 2050. So others are acting. The second flaw with that thinking is that, well, if you're worried about whether or not other people are going to act, then not acting yourself is actually going to make that worse, because they get to point at you and say, well, that person's not doing their share, so why should I bother? So being a laggard reinforces others to be being laggards. Conversely, leaders lead to more leaders. So if you lead by example, then others look at you and go, wow, that's really inspiring. I'm going to try and do as much as that person. So if you're really worried about whether others are going to do their fair share or not, the best course of action to take is to lead by example. And the third problem with that thinking is believing that it's going to be this great burden to take action on climate change. Whereas again, it's actually the opposite that's true. There's going to be all kinds of economic opportunities that arise as the world transitions to a low carbon future for those who are out ahead of the pack. And if we lag behind, we're going to miss out on those opportunities. So, what we do is important, and we need to lead by example. And how do we do that? Well, we need to stop looking over the precipice, scaring ourselves and others into inaction, and instead turn around and look towards the future and create a positive, inspiring and hopeful vision for the future. And that's exactly what Sustainable Living Tasmania is setting out to do with our Climate Solutions project. So we're going to be developing detailed plans for the Tasmanian economy to get to zero emissions by 2035 and a net sink for the rest of the century, and thrive in the process. Now, whilst I sincerely believe that that's possible, I'm not going to pretend that it's going to be without its challenges. As you can see, we've got a little bit of a climb ahead of us. But tell me, Has there ever been anything in your life that's been truly rewarding that hasn't involved overcoming a challenge? Whether it's building loving relationships with your family, or completing a project at work, a really difficult project, or developing a new hobby, a skill that takes hours and hours of practice and dedication and hard work to master. It's those kind of challenging things that enrich our lives. And this is the great challenge for us, for you and for me and for everyone else on the planet today, working out how to solve climate change and thrive in the process. So imagine this: when we look down over Hobart or over your city or town, imagine that every building and every street light is powered by 100% renewable energy generated right here in Tasmania. And more than that, we're exporting 100% renewable energy to the mainland, helping them to meet their energy needs whilst providing an economic return to Tasmania. And then go one step further and imagine that every vehicle in that city below is powered by 100% renewable energy here in Tasmania, thereby avoiding $1 billion a year fuel bill that we currently pay for our fossil fuel powered cars. We can do all of that. Imagine that the food that we nourish ourselves with is grown here in Tasmania in ways that capture carbon into the soil and simultaneously build the fertility of that soil, increasing our productivity, so again we can export more to the mainland, helping them to meet their needs sustainably and bringing an economic return to Tasmania in the process. Imagine that our heavy industries are producing the raw materials that are crucial for the transition to a low carbon future in ways that have the very least emissions possible. Now, imagine how proud we would be to be exporting those materials to the rest of the world so that we can build the next generation of batteries for energy storage, or the electric hyper efficient vehicles that are going to move us around in the future. We can do that too. And imagine that our native forests are managed in ways that nurture biodiversity and create thriving ecosystems that are great both for our native wildlife and also for people to visit and enjoy, whilst storing carbon. And imagine that our plantation forests are sustainably managed to store carbon as well as produce high-end building materials, for example, so engineered timber products, which can be used to build even multi-story buildings out of a material that actually stores up carbon rather than emitting it. That again is possible. So if you share this vision for the future, then please share this vision for the future. Share this video. Talk about it around the dinner table or with your colleagues in the lunchroom. It's only once that this vision is shared widely amongst Tasmanians that we'll actually be able to realise it. And there's a few other things that you can do to help us make it happen. Whilst it's largely a volunteer-led effort, so we've got a wonderful leadership team for the Climate Solutions Project. They're individuals who are passionate and dedicated, highly skillful and knowledgeable leaders from throughout the Tasmanian community who have come together to lead the Climate Solutions Project. So it's largely a volunteer-led effort, but it does require paid staff to oversee and manage the project to keep it moving along and for it to be as effective as possible. And so we do need funds to make the project happen, and you can help by donating to Sustainable Living Tasmania tax deductibly. A second thing you can do is, if you have any relevant expertise that could feed into the development of plans for Tasmania, then please get in touch and talk to us about how we can make that happen. And thirdly, you can take action at the individual level, at the household level, and also in your workplaces and in other roles that you have in your life. And we at Sustainable Living Tasmania have just developed a great new social enterprise in the form of a website called Eco Home Guide. What this website does is it steps you through all of the actions that you can take to have maximum positive impact towards this vision for a low carbon, thriving future. So please get onto Eco Home Guide. It takes you through the steps. It also links you with the best product and service providers in Tasmania. It gives you great prices on those products, and as an added bonus, the dividends that we make from sales get reinvested back into making Tasmania a global leader in achieving sustainability.